Well, good morning and welcome to your Friday 5 for 5. I am Adam, the worship pastor here at First Baptist Church of the Islands, and I'm excited to be joining with you today as we spend some time looking at priorities, putting God first. All this week our pastors have been doing an amazing job talking about putting God first. And whenever I first thought about this, I could not help but think of a story from really my time in high school. I graduated high school in 1997, but I will never forget the 1996 Olympics. In those Olympics, they were being held in Atlanta, which was just down the road from Greenville, where I grew up. And I remember going there after the Olympics and watching and seeing all of the things that they had built just for that event. But what I remember the most is when the ladies gymnastics team won gold over Russia, the first time we had ever won that team medal. And I will never forget the amazing feat that gymnast Carrie Strug made. She was an amazing little gymnast, and it was just amazing to see what she did as they beat the Russians. I always love the name that everybody gave the American gymnast that year, the Magnificent Seven. Well, if you remember how that went, Carrie was the last gymnast to go for America, and she was going to be using the vault or doing the vault. So she got ready, she ran down, because you have to run really hard to do that. She ran down, she vaulted, she sprang into the air, she did a perfect routine, but when she landed, she had over-rotated and she sprained her ankle. Well, she immediately pulled that ankle up. She is crying. She is really having a hard time. And it seemed as though they were going to lose gold because there was no way she was going to be able to make another run. Well, I will never forget her coach. Her coach was over to the side and he started yelling for her to focus on him. Focus on me. Focus on me. What he knew is that if he could take her focus off of her circumstances, if he could take her focus off of all the things around her, then she could do what she had been training to do. So she hobbled back down to the beginning of the vault and she ran, focused on her coach. She ran down, she hit the platform, she did her amazing routine, and when she landed with both feet on the mat. Hands up, she had completed really a perfect vault. Well, she immediately pulled that ankle up. She's crying, but she won enough points in that last run with a sprained ankle to win gold for America. Again, the first gold we had won in that competition. Well, Adam, what does that have to do with priorities? That's a great story. Well, what I love about that story is as long as she was focused on her coach, as long as her priorities were trained on him, as long as she was trained on her coach, he knew she could do what she had to do. But as long as she was trained on him, as long as her focus was on him and on him alone, she could do whatever she had to do to complete her task. I can't help but think of the story in Matthew chapter 14 where Jesus is walking on the water and Peter asks, if it's really you, let me come out there. So Peter steps out of the boat and Peter starts walking on water toward Jesus. But I love the passage. I love the scripture here. It says in verse 30 of chapter 14, but when he, Peter, saw the strength of the wind, when he saw his surroundings, he was afraid and he began to sink. When he saw the surroundings, he was afraid and he began to sink. There's so many things in this life that take our focus off of Christ. There's so many things that are vying to be first in our lives. But as long as we keep God first, as long as we keep him first in our life, if our focus is stayed on him, we can weather any storm, we can walk through any battle, we can go through any circumstance, and we can accomplish any task he calls us to as long as we keep our focus on him. Is God your priority this morning? I hope he is. I look forward to seeing you guys at worship This week, I won't be there, but I'll be joining you online. Be praying for my family and I, and Eric's family, and Jason's family as we all move our kids into college this next week. But know that we're praying for you, we love you, and we cannot wait to worship with you together this weekend. Have a great day. Bye-bye.